Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, Ibrahim. April 21st, 2025. Today, na the 21st of April, 2025. God is good, fellow people. God is good. Allah is great. You know, fellow people, over the past, few days, whilst I be doing me quiet moments, I take a couple of books there with me. I read one particular book where you don't tell I read it, I don't be able to read it, but I finally read it. This is not a book by, Victor E. Frankl. Victor E. Frankl in book where they talk about man's search for meaning. We mortal man, they search for a meaning because we all get meaning in this life. The other day, of course, we were with your brother Otmail whilst he was wishing me happy birthday. We catch up later. They talk about meaning. How we all get a purpose that is life. And we all come and fulfill with purpose. They like it today in Sierra Leone. Everybody get meaning in Sierra Leone. So whilst I was reading the book, of course, that Sierra Leone, they put it to perspective. Because within Victor E. Frankl, by the way, it's Viktor E. Frankl. F as in Frank, R A N as in November, K as in Kilo, L as in Lima. Victor E. Frankl. Man's search for meaning. So what's in Victor is talking about that this book now, so is that it is say for live, not for survive. And for live, it is suffer. But through that suffering, you search for meaning. Naim Frankl, they talk now. So by the way, Victor E. Frankl, what he talk about, it focus on human suffering, resilience in the quest for purpose. Victor Frankl survived the Holocaust. For the one day we not survived that the Holocaust, that the time where the Jews them were persecuted in Germany by Adolf Hitler. With Germany, no one for the talk about that much about that. The Holocaust. Put people them inside and chamber them, picking them, carry them, go to them, camp them. Like the Auschwitz camp, one of the most dangerous camp. And 90% of the people they go to that camp, the Auschwitz. And then they survive. So Victor write a memoir about his experience because he survived the Holocaust. After he survived the Holocaust, they come out to become a psychiatrist. Because so when people don't go through them kind of a trauma, they do. And I know some people already talk about mental health and all that stuff, then they. So they relate this to the situations in Sierra Leone and how like most of the military personnel them and most Sierra Leoneans, the citizens, because of hardship and poverty, where they don't get no help, no side for go. You see the brains of Sierra Leoneans, them, everybody is mentally sick. Almost all of them, including the leaders they're waiting at the country, where they claim for being leaders, they're all mentally and psychologically impaired. They're not well. Because no country, the way they get elections. But they go tell you, say, because this one person, when they allege, say, this one person, the person went to like today, Dr. Samoa Kamara for defend democracy in Sierra Leone. They say, I don't sell. But the man not tied their football, and they fought for a victory. But then they campaign for 2028. The man say, no, now we win this election. Look, the IRF forms them. 71% should say we get 57.15% of the vote. We don't call ECOWAS for ECOWAS reinstate we and reinstate me as the president. Instead of enjoying the man for call the clarion call, they say that they move on to the next elections. When I tell me, say that they're not to mental illness. They don't go through half of what Victor E. Frankl will go through for survive the Holocaust. No. Yes, Maada Bio terrorize with citizens, them, kill with people. Them. Where these useless opposition leaders, they all see also that they watch the like today. They celebrate, they say they move on. All man want big president, all man they campaign for 2028. They see on Maada Bio kill with people in Makeni, Tetide, no justice. Paremaro prison massacre, no justice. Tonkolimba, Lonsar, no justice. Then they pass free up and down. They say that they contest. They want for be president 2028. But in particular election, June 24, 2023, they look for stand up for him. So Victor E. Frankl, where he survived the Holocaust, for like cure himself, he writes this in book. It's a memoir where he detailed the psychological exploration and, a human suffering and resilience, how people they suffer. He break it down into two parts. The first part, he talk about your experience, where he get that the concentration camp, they go lock them. Concentration camps, a lot of people, if I don't understand. Now, outside they go, now touch on them and they go touch on. Now they go walk like a dog until you die. If you survive, you survive that. One way they can free, later on, they can redeem Europe and Germany. And they survive the Holocaust. But anybody will go to that camp, they die. If lots of us say they can't redeem the land. Where the good soldier they come and can take over, then they free the one where they meet today. But when you go there, they walk you like a jackass. And if you're ready for a good, let's go put you inside one chamber, then get them big chamber, and suffocate you to death. When I imagine that kind of a thing, then I happen to the German, the Jews them. When they like a today that Germany, nobody know what to talk about or fit yourself. And if you mention that name themselves, if you do YouTube, you mention that name, they not take a YouTube video, they flag. But these are the things. So this guy divided that book into two parts. The first part, he talk about your experience. Frankl, of course, he survived the Holocaust. And he's a psychiatrist now, so they recount the horror experience where he gets inside of the Nazi death camps there, including the Auschwitz camp, one of the most dangerous one. Now, there is a day where they observe that even inside extreme suffering, people they will find meaning in their lives. This goes back to Wakash Box, the book where he talk about Chinua Achebe, Ant Hills of the Savannah. Wakash Box can quote us where they say, from what bottomless pit the African people get this courage where they get for survive this kind of a survival. When I read this book back, it opened up my perspective to that point. Say inside this suffering, people can still find meaning. And when you look at Sierra Leone today, now I have seen one video during the first month. One guy make one funny video where they say, hey, let this first month not done. Let it not done this first month. Let it extend this first month. Hey, I was saying for go eat now. Say Salon people will make fun out of the sufferings and the pain. Well, Naim Frankl they talk now inside his book, where say he observed that even in extreme suffering, those who find meaning in their lives were more likely to survive. Naim Victor E. Frankl they talk about. These are just my key takeaways at the Guiana Salon people. Because, I like for joy, for juxtapose the ideas there, mix them up, try to understand why people do what they do. That make when you read, that make I tell Salon people they want to read. But again, it's not an excuse to say because I'm poor, I'm angry. But yes, when you're angry, I go read. The brain not work. When you're angry, not work. You don't get him for it. I read, you go read. I get it. But still, if you could, who's you for make chance? Read. When you read, you travel the world without going places. You don't need to go places physically. You travel the world just by reading. Now in this guy they talk. He say, what do you observe? They tell them that the camp, the Auschwitz, then dangerous camp and there, the Nazi camp there. He say the people there were able to find meaning inside and suffering at that particular time. He said that they survive. He said they get a likelihood for survive. He identified 3 psychological phases where prisoners they go through from the time where they enter the camp for the very first time, all through the time where they need it. This the man when they inside pressure as speaking when they carry on a camp. It observe at that age, young age, it observe able to write this in memoir. Everything we experience, it can be write up because it become a psychiatrist later on for help other people away don't be affected because some suffering the people they go through the decrease. That affects a lot of our brothers and sisters that we join the military in Sierra Leone today. They don't go crazy, they don't go mad because what you do, the environment where they defend themselves. They don't get them proper welfare, they need to take care of them, they don't get access to health. Now you're about communicating in your situation. And brother, they pull on a war front. They can't pull on, say, we can't do business, can't go. When brother Umar be mentioned, then they go buy shop, put all team for them, say, bro, I can't do business, left this military. You man, they come much they back, fast and see, don't run away, don't left. That is psychiatrist. That is a mental disorder right there. Waiting to this, the man will be don't be exposed to seeing people dying in front of his face. They see him party them all die. They explain his story there. Who side in the ambush there? We should take it in and in 2 or 3 they survive and kill all the other Sujaman there. By God, if I survive, all the mental torture the way don't go through all in life. Person go say, well, why Comrade go left England for Sierra Leone? The question is this: I don't know. I'm not going to answer for that. It don't reach to England. We're all glad for it. It come on England, you don't tell we say to go back to Sierra Leone. I mean, I missed the times. I mean, nobody know for run away from in country so I born. Because he was born and bred in Sierra Leone. We're not for in exile out of the country. So yes, it has a real meaning for Gode. But otherwise, why would I go right now to Sierra Leone? I get something for Dunaya. I have a productive life. The same life over the way, pray for Comrade culture. But the same way like I brother them. They pull them, they count them, can't go Guinea, put business, say, but I not go again. My man at 2-3 weeks no more, it don't disappear. I go back, pass, then go look for them back. All of these are things we can learn later. But how you to go, you know, say the environment of the country. I'm a psychiatrist that we get. Dr. Nahim Navi, the only one who sabi. Recently I see a video of a new guy when I the only doctor back who get. So these are the things. So Victor E. Frankl, they in memoir, he write, this open up my eyes. So, you know, the question where Cashbox they ask, who side people and the pool. So a lot of them people there, they get a likelihood for survive and suffering when they go through Sokashi. They get a likelihood for survive because they're able to find meaning inside that suffering day. That is what is happening in Sierra Leone. Now I make delicate today, you look the people, you get all them full man there, they go say they want for contest 2028 elections. The people, they go back, they dance behind them, they clap behind them. Now I make we can talk to them. But I just want to use this book of Victor E. Frankl, where he talk about the suffering of people. How he find out, say, they observe, say, even in extreme suffering, the one day we find meaning inside the suffering, then we get likelihood for letting them survive. The Nazi camp them, the concentration camp, they torture them, they beat them, then they feed them better, then they drive to the ribs, then you see no more. Now you walk till for they die. When you die, they're going to go to inside grave, mass grave. That's what they treat the people in Germany. The Holocaust. Adolf Hitler in term, when I research. So Victor, a group into 3 psychological phases where people they go through. Just like when Maada Bio terrorized with people, where they were not useless idiots for stand up for people. When somebody don't do anything, you are Sama, say Babadi Kamara, Babadi, where they talk in this day na 98.1. And there is a particular guy where I knew what with AYV. That new guy na AYV, now he don't take Lambrana. That way when they can ask questions, they like now set up, then they set up people and for letting go arrest them. But they wait till they arrest Babadi Kamara back. There is a new guy wearing an AYV. You know, then guy there where they call themselves journalists. Where at least when they're supposed to protect people of free speech, but then they fed for pull the head past the interview and they say for them get. As they talk, so they fed for pulling your head. When I listen to the interview of Babadi where they talk, say the Inspector General of Police is half-baked, which is a fact. Maada Bio doesn't look for loyalists around them. These guys not get anybody, people away. And I come back to the DPP in office, Director of Public Prosecutions. What do you know about the arrest of Babadi them in office? Because the Inspector General line go hold them, lock them up for 10 days. The DPP in office, if you get anything for do with that, the DPP in office, if you get anything for do with that, with Babadi Kamara, they wouldn't go lock them up for 10 days. If you never get anything for do with them, what do you recommend? You write anything against that? For say this prosecution and the prosecuting guy there is wrong. Did he say anything? The DPP in office, he say anything? Anyways, that left aside. But Victor E. Frankl, he said he identified 3 phases the way people go through. The first one, a shock. Then go arrest Babadi Kamara. What do you do? Because they right here they want for protest. So that first phase, na shock. Then the second phase, na apathy. And then the third, it'll be depersonalization. right? So the shock, what did happen was initial disbelief and horror when they arrive at the camp. You see the shock by the force. You don't come up from a life of freedom. All of a sudden, your life has been turned in an instant. So the shock force you see them, saying that the first phase standing, the psychological phase standing with prisoners that they go through, where they bring them kind of the concentration camp them. The shock. Then the apathy now, you become numbed emotionally as a survival mechanism. You numb yourself now. You know, say, oh, this is the new reality. Now you can make some positive for survive because enough for accept a new reality. A lot of times when you accept the new reality, all this what they give us, so this is not training where you forget. These are all the South Africans there when they go through apartheid. When they arrest them, go lock them up. They were prepared. So psychologically, they're already prepared because they know say this South African government, and then they go to South Africa, inside Sierra Leone, when people they come up for protest, they are prepared psychologically. They don't expect say because they protest whether a constitutional right that is protected by the constitution, so they go arrest them all. But then prepared psychologically. Say that shock face, they get for calm. What you do now? What you do? Now wrong I do for protest. It is my right to protest. Respect my right to protest. If you so get democracy, don't respect democracy. Don't get right to free speech, right to protest, right? So that first shock phase. And then the apathy, you become numb now to the situation. You accept the reality of life. And then the depersonalization, you detach yourself from identity, after liberation. That's the last phase where you free. Now you get for take yourself away from identity, from that your identity where you get where you be in a prison, the way you feel, where you don't free. When some person for free themselves again because psychologically they are traumatized forever. You don't understand? When you take people like communicator, I use communicator in this example. If you get bullets, where be in the head? When I make one they see where the barb, the barb in here. If they get a high barb there. Because if you get bullets over there in the head, if you get bullets back over there in body, now in family they spend money for pull and para. So the toxic components of that bullet will be get in the head before they for puller, eventually. That's in the all. We don't mash them up in a way. In as much as it was very cognitive, we camp in military areas. Very cognitive, very powerful. Because that part of his brain now he stay. In military school where go, in military training. It's sharp that side. But there are other areas where you get small defect. Like where, for example, communicator money not do for her. That was one area where me I noticed money not do for her. As a for money, it not do for communicator. I don't know. It's a problem with money. If you didn't hear them, if you know all yourself. You almost want for just say, go away, man. Money not to do for communicator. Maybe, I don't know if it has something to do with that part. But some people not for wash themselves away from their identity, whether it be in incarceration, whether it be in camp and that suffering they go through. They don't for detach themselves now for even after they're not free. They don't kind of say a free world now. They need for live freely again. Now you can make some possible don't go jail. Or some person when they don't traumatize. Some sudden movement and they like some person not come up behind them without you don't know. If you come up from the back, you can't almost so you can't scare them. It is shock. Because it goes through trauma. We're waiting to happen, they come up from the back. The attacker and not be know. So for the rest of your life, that trauma they go through her. Then they make some person, you can see some person in a building, so people they pass. So they all of a sudden they just scared them up by himself, a shock. If not woman, we should tell them, don't repair. Unfortunately, those kinds of things, they live with them forever. Certain action where they exhibit, it trigger that emotion there in that person. So now, Viktor Frankl, it described, 3 phases of psychological, trauma we possibly go through. The first one is the shock. The second phase is the apathy, where you're in the situation now, you become numb. And then the third one now, depersonalization. How to separate yourself from where you're in captivity, so the time we get freedom. So Victor, he believes they argue, he say, while suffering is inevitable, that we need to do without her. He say meaning can be found in 3 ways. It says suffering can come. So take it on, okay, you don't care for avoid that. Not so do without. I take them back. Indispensable, I need to do without. Inevitable, it can happen. So take it the balance trouble, so it will happen to you. It's inevitable. The controller, so take it happen. You get small amount of control, but like somebody will come up for protest that day, December 1, we all have one protest. Aja, where that policeman beat out Koboko, where they call Ekomog, where in a Ross Road police station. A beat Aja and say that in left hand, and for it's anything we heavy. I see it's something we heavy, so it naps the kick in the shock, the are not able. Aja day, these are all the victims. They make why they talk over, they talk them back. And I don't say Kashi way they wish me happy birthday, mention something along that line. And where you don't agree with me now. We have to have some form of Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We can forget some form of Truth and Reconciliation where we have to have public tribunals. Not to tell them make secret na corner. Anyone is saying stuff to talk about that. Not to corner business. These are public tribunals. People get for come and kind of test to the crimes they wouldn't commit. We're not going to go secret. Oh. No. Public tribunals in Sierra Leone until we do an Sierra Leone salon they ever go before. But Victor E. Frankl, he says, in as much as suffering, we're not to tell them for balance. He can't wait, he can't meet you, go to a quiet corner, so while I can meet you today. He said, but through suffering, you can find a meaning. But in 3 ways. He said, through work or creative deeds. So when they're in captivity, for example, when they're in captivity, what do they do? Like a manuscript. And not say visually they create this thing in mind. It's unfinished manuscript. Gave him purpose. He said, "In be no say be the right side. This in book will be the right." He said, even before the capturer, in be not begin write this in manuscript here, this in book here, about what he do to the Jews them. So even when himself go jail now, he didn't survive because he no say I have an unfinished business. So even for cope, say God made them go free them. We survive the Holocaust. But he no say the reason we make him be able to survive it found meaning that because he no say he gets a manuscript, he get for finish this in book where they write. He said the other way, that through love and relationships. He said because memories of his wife, now he sustain him. Whilst he in captivity, he said the memory of his wife, where he remember, now he make him for survive. And then the third way, he said that through dignity, he says suffer with dignity. Through suffering with dignity, choosing your attitude despite circumstances. He said you choose you kind of an attitude where you go put forward, regardless of your circumstance. He said that the 3 ways then this where you go survive. Either through, work or creative deeds, you get for remain creative, you do for survive, or through love and relationships. If now you pick it, you remember. If now you wife, you remember. If now you man, you remember. If you get party, you remember. Through your captivity, you survive. And through suffering with dignity. He said, every way they suffer with dignity. He said, but you still, they get control of your attitude. You don't be bitter all the way through. You just think about that, Andy. You try to keep a conscious mind. And say, just because they want to make a fiber like a caged animal, I would not be. You control yourself. And this is what you see with people like Babadi Kamara them. This is what you see with Mr. Maddie Williams. You see how they keep their composure. They are pissed off, but they still maintain their composure. Whilst they are asking for make sure say justice is served. Whilst they look forward for the case be heard by the Supreme Court because of the great injustice that was done to them. But they don't say one, wait till they do the right thing because we're standing up to protect and defend democracy. It is a meaning. Whilst they're suffering, they find a meaning during those tough moments. So that are the first part where Victor E. Frankl, divide in book. The part one, now experience during the concentration, where did the concentration come, right? And he say most of the people will survive. He say now where they find meaning in the suffering. How they do them? He says, say there are 3 psychological phases. You get the first shock where they appear, where they bring you out of the camp, you shock. Then you develop apathy to the situation now, where you become numb to your suffering, right? You don't accept, say, this is, okay, this is my life. And then the third phase, that is depersonalization. Detachment from identity after your liberation, right? And then you talk about how, you don't forfend suffering inside your meaning. And this time they happen in like Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone get communities. So people that they suffer, but they rely on the community them. Then they still come together. They all share the same, then they all share the same suffering. All man no say all man they suffer. With the beer, hey, Maada Bio bado, but with the beer. Look at we APC people there. Hey, what to for do now? They don't win the election no one time, but all can dance for the number with the beer. These are all the things that are happening. People they find meaning inside the suffering, and for be so, especially in a democracy, we have to stand up because we not for suffer in the first place. So from what bottomless pit, it goes back again to the book of Chinua Achebe. Because wants to share with me. Who say we get this courage here for suffer and take this kind of a suffering what you see. I see the Motokawe Maada Bio used for go back in an old boys association. They said that from China. They said $150,000 SUV. We don't know if they get them, or not trying to get them, or whatever the case is. We say that they come out. But within a country where people they suffer 30 days for even get $1 a day. No problem. But yet when they see president they drive them kind of a motor and we see the watch that they wear. They don't say why they point out Maada Bio and watch them. Past 5 years they point out Maada Bio and watch them. They didn't have me Twitter. When I go look at me Twitter, you search Maada Bio and watches. You go see a day. Salon people don't deserve for suffer. Salon people deserve for live a life that is well balanced. Now this make we stand with Dr. Samora Kamara. Because the only way we will achieve that will make sure we'll get the right leader first of all. The right leader where they empathize with the people. Where they feel the pain of the pain and sorrow of the people. The leader will come and can transform the lives of the people. Sierra Leone deserve for be a Singapore. Sierra Leone deserve for be a first world country within 10 years. And people like we believe say that Samora Kamara get what he take for Dua. That is why we stand with them, because they stand on the side of democracy. If you get autocracy, now say that autocracy if you get, let we all agree that we not say, okay, we get one party state system. They will not agree, we go resist. We don't go for take up arms against the state, go take up arms against the state. Because we believe say no, one party state system not for work. Ali Kaba go na bush, for example, they go na bush. They say they go fight. Maada Bio go pull his sister there. And for example, na bush. They say we're left for fights now. Look come, we all can work together. Now get democracy. So everybody go get a right for free speech. Everybody go get rights for protest. That is what Maada Bio say they go. Maada Bio say go pull for this like on a bush for. He said, "Look, can pull them. Look, come on a bush. Look, come now, all can live together." And then like today, people not vote for protest. We people get election. I do a video. I believe so. When I go on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, when I go watch, I do that video the way Liberia them, the Electoral Commission, the website, polling station for polling station, all the votes them tabulate them. This aggregated data, the meaning of this aggregated data, share with you now. But yet you get idiots there where they come out, they run up or down the country. They say they want for big flag bearer for 2028. When they tell you for saying, I will get the power that country, they will become rich. Astafullah. If Dr. Samora Kamara is not reinstated as the president, APC is dead on arrival, bro. APC people, it's dead on arrival. Yesterday I make a short comment where I don't expound on. I talk about the fact that they want for be unlucky. But who said they go join Maada Bio or Siba? If you don't swear and unlucky, but some people will not say the majority of we will not go join Maada Bio, no so. But with the sharing guy, they are no more say, if they feel so, then guess where? Because we know the playbook. They all go join Maada Bio because they are all cowards. Go join Maada Bio, you get freedom. We see that Bobo they run, but I can't say again. If I have men picking, enough for Biso, men picking enough for the BM back door. You don't forget you men picking, you keep at a BM no more, they can't front, they can't sit in a pala, they sit in the room because I'm men picking, enough fair, enough for bitter with it. But we don't say in Africa, they're happy. Now, like Ibrahim Bangura, where they say he want to be president, where they run, it's the most useless of all the what they want for be president. I continue. I can see why what's with brother in name Timbo want for be president, and Timbo is 2,000 more qualified than Ibrahim Bangura for be president. I continue because at least occupy the reins of power small. He got administrative experience. When I show Ibrahim Bangura, anyone who talk about Taleka say, we don't left him until the day we can declare. But if you have men picking, they be here the crepot. We see they don't get OSD all. We get for ask the question now. Una the APC people them mammy them. This one, you already give money for can come up for can dance for them. At the top, una all now. Una left for take the money again. This is about poor again because you poor, they can't give money, go eat up. Una come up here that particular bobody in business. And they want una because when we got the top renting there, all they say they join Maada Bio. If they're for tomorrow, if you know say, then tia, we quite talk and so go join Maada Bio, they money you. Begin act right. If you are one of them people who already pass swear lucky, now they support the agenda 2028 because una already support agenda 2028. Una they support Maada Bio. Now they continue to make Maada Bio become the dictator. We want for become like we don't become already in Sierra Leone. Now they support her. For every time when I go dance for the agenda 2028, now Maada Bio they give power. Now Maada Bio they empower for them become more powerful in that country and continue to be a one-party state government and be an autocrat. Nobody no get mind challenger. When I see they all no get mind challenge Maada Bio. Nobody no get mind challenge Maada Bio again. Then they ask for the election results against them. Then they tell them also win the election, but we move on. That is the reality of Sierra Leone. And that is why we tell them for say we sabi them playbook what they do. We all can do the same thing. We all can go now say today, Maada Bio are the best man. All the kill we don't kill, low tell and thank you for the kill. No, we're not gonna do that, Andy. But even if I don't talk now, Andy, for support 2028, it means that you support Maada Bio agenda. For support 2028, it means that you support the death of all the people that we don't die when our APC supporters them and Sierra Leoneans them because also past APC supporters them. A lot of we brother and sister, that Sierra Leoneans, they will just believe in democracy. We come out and they go protest, then go lock them up, then disappear them, then kill them. Some of them family don't even know 30 outside a day. So for anybody when they move on to 2028, you support the killing of we brother and sister them. So all them man in a village, where I see the dance now upline, where they wear their red, then they can't dance for APC party, then they can't dance behind them useless idiots there. We are all on get this message. We also be for join Maada Bio. And we can get favor pass on ourselves to Maada Bio. But we say no, we're going to stand up for democracy. So if you believe and you know say that nonsense what you depend, you don't believe in Maada Bio, you don't believe in the SLPP, for them continue for take advantage of the people, continue for kill with brother and sister them. When I left for dance behind the agenda 2028, when I already dance behind agenda 2028, it means that they support the corruption, when they support the hard time, when they support the poverty in the country, when they support how people are sick and die, they don't get access to healthcare because you don't support Maada Bio. You don't need for talk say I don't support Maada Bio. Now, by how you support agenda 2028, now in the proof so you don't support Maada Bio. So what's the difference? So what is the point? Now I can tell you, say we self Sabio. If we want for say today, we want self. If we self now angry they catch we self one kind of Sierra Leone, one can contest elections. When they come up here Maada Bio suffer because they don't show we say the Maada Bio get all the power, and get the police and get all the military. So what they do? When they talk again against Maada Bio, we don't say can we go join the party. We say we go to salon, we wait for contest election, we go team up under the APC umbrella. We came for do harm. So I tell you again, one of them man them. Now for get the message now, they dance behind people here. If you know say, you know one let Ibrahim come out tomorrow and say, well, let me say go join now. We say when they come up here Maada Bio, we let attack again. We not come up here in the agenda 2028 then. A word for the wise is quite sufficient. I don't go on to bow and say, hey, Ibrahim, for the no. Una one una people them. Una the support agenda 2028. Una the embolden Maada Bio. Una the empower Maada Bio. Una the give Maada Bio more reign and power. Maada Bio continue for control the country at one time. The police and the military continue for take advantage of the people them. Because una the support una politician them. We for stand up against Maada Bio. We get equal rights. That they don't thief with country money. That they don't eat salon money. That they for defend with democracy. But they fail their responsibility because when they support them for move on to 2028, instead of tell them for join Dr. Samura Kamara, let we stand up and protect democracy. Dr. Samura Kamara himself, if you want, it can team up and make that way like you don't understand. Himself, Maada Bio don't get nothing for doing. But no, it stand up and say we defend democracy. So we all on the BNN like today. But una way dance BNN people there, because now money they give you or this and that. Then all that nonsense, let begin done. Let begin cut off. So the point we don't see that, Bobo, when I'm men picking, because I saw we call that men picking, when they BNB had no more. They go and pass now all, they don't get OSD. They don't get security all. But we don't want to condemn Maada Bio. They don't want to condemn the SLPP. They don't want to stand up for who the people in that country. Now you get OSD so they pass now where they pass to the country. And don't come out publicly can't tell who say one for contest for presidency. And the day where they declare now they wait for. Me, the day when they declare, now it become official. For now, I'm in Pekin. They be in backyard. They go and pass. They call people in the corner. They introduce them to people. All that foolishness and nonsense there. And you get stupid Sierra Leoneans there when they fall for that nastiness there. Taking them for understand, say, in a democracy, people can forget an opinion. What's in everybody in opinion? What's in everybody in position? What's in that stance? They don't get no position. From 2018, when they kill people in that country, everybody don't talk one thing against the SLPP. And now come and say, I go lead protest in that country from the people. And I get no article or publication where put out where they attack the SLPP and Maada Bio for the human rights abuse system. And I get no letter where write to the ICC that this Bobo will be president in that country. They pass, they call people and they introduce us to people. They are not stupid enough for the fall for that nonsense. They are not lucky and big fool in that country. This is the nonsense what they talk about. But again, it goes back to what Victor E. Frankl they talk about. People inside are suffering, they still find meaning. But you have to find the right meaning for towards your suffering. Not so for continue for believing for suffer because you're born for suffer. No, there has to be a meaning. And you get for at some point say enough is enough. And when is enough going to be enough? So once have we played the game, we all can go now today. Maada Bio, the last thing today, Maada Bio want for you. They say Ibrahim they talk against Maada Bio. They don't left for talk against Maada Bio. Matter of fact, they praise Maada Bio yourself now because they don't know what I want. Because I get a useless fool there where they depend 2028 agenda. They don't need, you don't need for Allah say, you don't need for Allah say, today I don't need for say I support Maada Bio. I just need for can say, me I support the agenda for 2028. It don't done. It don't done. So as soon as they support Maada Bio, that's when they support the SLPP regime. We don't kill with brother and sister there. When I feel they forget the crimes when they don't commit. There must people and die during protests that I country. They go lock them up, torture them. You know these stories there what we know. Then they go put people in a Benghazi, then they throw what's up at them, then they electrify them, electrocute them, then they shock them, then they beat them with cable them, blister them body them. You know what you know? They torture with brother and sister them. Carry them, go then jail their upline. Die there, kill them there. On a fist, no. So for everybody when they move on to 2028, you support Maada Bio. So what's the difference? I don't need for come self-says and support Maada Bio. Let's just come say no more. Let Maada Bio continue. Let's move on to 2028. I don't support Maada Bio agenda. So now the understanding in there. So salon people, if you support 2028, you support Maada Bio. Willfully or not willfully, you support Maada Bio agenda for let Maada Bio continue for the power illegally and unconstitutionally. So for anybody who supports agenda 2028, that is what you do. You destroy the country. And Maada Bio not saying one who they blame yourself. Yourself gets a responsibility. Maada Bio not Paul Salon by himself. A Paul Salon with the help of an Escoromadem and the opposition and the APC. For man Escoroma, shut up. You Maada Bio can't power. Shut up. What did they get against them? God knows. From where he shut up in open much step to this day for condemn the atrocities of Maada Bio. That is the same way all the useless idiots they want for be flag bearer. All men want to be president. Not they condemn Maada Bio actions. Nobody them for stand up against Maada Bio. These are all bunch of cowards. The owner the people where they come out, they support them. Now they clap for them. After they kill our brother and sister them, we all are hypocrites. We all get blame. We all get responsibility for the destruction of Sierra Leone. The bad name of country get, the bad reputation, the drug lord in Sierra Leone. Maada Bio and Gal picking keep the drug lord. Nobody no get mind challenge Maada Bio. So this day, they none they talk about that. They none they talk about that. Maada Bio and Gal picking keep the drug lord. We don't get business inside Maada Bio and Gal picking right, keep right, don't keep. But this one, we get for do with somebody where we name them across the world. Bad reputation now. All over the world, they say Sierra Leone and they keep the drug lord. This is the big one. This is the world business. This is the all Sierra Leonean business. We for call them out. Agnes Bio for come and apologize to the people of Sierra Leone. Agnes Bio for take interview and tell the people of Sierra Leone the mistake what you make. If you be mistake, you not be no. If you ask for forgiveness from the people of Sierra Leone because you don't damage your reputation. Sierra Leone named in the news all over the world. They say Sierra Leone are the biggest drug lord. That they boleos. Yes, Lydicus. We don't kill people in Holland. We're one of the biggest transnational drug traffickers in the world. That's Sierra Leone base. That's Sierra Leone in base. God knows how much they pay the government of Sierra Leone every month or every week for freedom. I don't tell you that way be in Turkey. Usai be the hide. They pay 1 million euros every week for freedom. 30 months on 4 million euros. God knows how much they pay the government of Sierra Leone. This illegal government of Sierra Leone. How much they give them every month. They're useless while they run for 2028. Till today, they're none. not even for condemn the fact that we get the drug lord of the country. Now this is what they talk about. We didn't go and say the whole press conference. Hey, this drug business, yeah, blah, blah, blah. That was the end of it. Individually, the non-nugget mind can one-to-one take on the government, Maada Bio. Tell us, say he's responsible, he knows about the drug. Now this we see in our neighboring countries like Liberia, Ghana, with the CM, the opposition, and they play. Why didn't they afraid Maada Bio? Wait till Maada Bio gets on them. And they don't empower Maada Bio like a today for them Maada Bio continue to do what they do. So some people, these are the things where we can talk to now. We energize now, we wake up. There is no point in you suffering. Salon people don't deserve for suffer. We get a democracy, we get a right to free speech. It is protected by the Constitution. But when I read this book, I forget to understand why people are able to survive during that suffering they are, because they find meaning inside the suffering. And we don't find no meaning inside the suffering. So it goes back to the book of Chinua Achebe, where Cashbox they talk about the ant-hills of the savannah. From what bottomless pit? From what bottomless pit do you guys find the courage to defend for continue for endure this kind of a suffering? We should not suffer like this. When you look at the country, they get the happiness index. You look at this, the Finland, you look at Denmark, all of these countries there. The happiness, people are happy. The other day I watched a documentary, and I could do a live on that, where an 83-year-old pa, we don't retire from 20 years ago, but there is a shortage. What they talk about all this time, Cashbox, they emphasize shortage in young people, the young population. There's a shortage across the world. Japan, they lose their workforce. Denmark, now the same thing. All over 83, but he's still active, energetic. He don't need for work again. But he go take back bus driving. He drive the students them. He drive them big bus. Salon, what you go say for young people there? What's the life expectancy in the country? For man then about 43, 44. For woman then about 54. And the life expectancy in the country. And we die like a dogs. We don't deserve all of that, yeah? We don't deserve all of that. But now I understand how people survive during these difficult moments. Now, Victor Frankl explained that. So the people will survive mostly because they find meaning inside their suffering. To live is to suffer, but to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. Now, do you understand it? That is the basic of the guy in book. What he say? Man's search for meaning. To live is to suffer. But to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. Now we left for find meaning inside with suffering. Let we stand up and eradicate the suffering. Enough is enough in Sierra Leone. So if you support Agenda 2028, you support Maada Bio, there is no difference. In me self command I have for cancer just now. Now we move on to 2028. Why we for do that? Why we for move on to 2028 when the APC party win the elections? Why we not go stand up with democracy? Why we not go defend democracy? Why we not go stand by democracy and say that the right thing be done? When the people that wake up 4 o'clock in the morning for go vote, let them stand up, let them vote, be counted. Let the vote reflect who will win the elections. Sierra Leoneans them. Ebo, we all look crispo. Mental health, a real problem. But no sober. This is why they give us a wake up call. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I wake up call for say if you have Chris, now for wake up. Let the Chris come up at you. Because the only Chris person, now ain't gonna look election where we win. They say no, you move on to the next election. Some people have a word for the wise is quite sufficient. When I left for dance behind them, I don't want for Siboku dance again. Oh. If we begin Siboku dance, to God and these days, some of we get for come now, the Tiwo go do. Huh? Some of us will go regret. We know some people and they Baku they suffer. But then say to take it if you for break, they join them. So when I left the big fool, we left for dance behind the useless people how to go Agenda 2028. I reply as a name Baku show nonsense where they talk. I hear Baku nonsense where they talk. It's still a talk. I know talk. Forensic audits where they say like show the money where they have to spend at the APC party office. Young silence. Where for Peter Conte? Let for Peter Conte. If you can forget contest, let's each other tongue the law no say because the only person after Dr. Samurai Kamara. That now after Dr. Kamara be president, now the only person who also go trust that the APC party because we see him work with it. We see what he do now. We're not really against them for say because one day against them. We just want to let things be done the right way. But look at useless party. We give them time for them to expose themselves. They don't expose themselves. Now they look at today. You don't need for Kai explain. Nobody need for Kai explain. We don't say in school, don't defend, don't expose yourself. Minkailu Mumuma, Sare don't expose himself. Yes, Sare don't expose Sherikoko. All of these people don't expose themselves for who they are. We don't see her now. We don't see her. So we know exactly what it is. So Alfred Peter content for Tkayo. But we know say by June, by God in power, we don't know exactly what's in the status of the president to be Dr. Samara Kamara, the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Then they inaugurate her. Now June they cancel in 2 months more. Anyways, I don't reach my destination. I just come and drop me over the airport. I go talk to her later. All right, everybody, have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.